What's good, guys? We are back with the Honeys. It's your boy BBTB, aka Bench 550, aka League Winner, aka Himothy, aka Do What It Does. We got the boy Chemo.
Yep.
We got the boy Spreadsheet Slammy.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So today's podcast, we got the episode 8 players to fade topic. We're gonna be going QB, RB, receiver, tight end, and then we got the bonus. So we're gonna start off with the QBs, and my boy Chemo's gonna start us off right.
Yep. So my QB to fade is going to be Dak Prescott. I just don't like where he's going in the draft. I think that they don't have enough weapons there. It's just CeeDee Lamb and the tight end Jake Ferguson. They brought back Zeke as their running back. He is not a pass catching back. He will likely take a lot of the goal line touches if Dak has any goal line, rushes. So I just think that there's better quarterbacks being taken at his position. So if you look at where he's being taken as QB9 in round 6 or early round 7, I think that, personally, Jordan Love is being ranked as QB10. This is according to Fantasy Pros rankings. I would take Jordan Love over Dak Prescott. That's just me. So I don't know how you guys feel about Dak, but in my opinion, I just don't think he's worth where he's going. I think Dallas defense is going to do a lot of their work for them, and he's not going to have to go out and throw like crazy. So, MFB, what do you think?
I think there's some solid points, but then there's some points that ain't really connecting the logic, right? So the defense was going crazy last year already, and Dak finished top 5. So on that point, the offense hasn't changed crazy. Brandon Cooks got hurt. He can come back still. They got Zeke, who's old, but Pollard wasn't amazing as he should have been last year. So the staff is the same. The offense is more or less the same. The defense is still good. They're going to win games, and they're going to probably win a lot of games through the air with Dak.
Okay. That's fair. I think Zeke will do enough on the ground to where, Pollard was just terrible, and he wasn't good at getting into the end zone. We saw Zeke do it a lot in New England. I think he's coming back to prove himself in Dallas. So I think he will take a lot of the goal line work, and they won't be throwing those touchdowns. So he won't be getting CD in the corner or Jake Ferguson on a touchdown. I think Zeke can punch it in. They don't need to throw it. But BBTB, what's your take on Dak?
I'm actually a big fan of Dak. Just because every single year that Cowboys offense have been solid. Even though that defense been going crazy for the past few years. They signed CeeDee Lamb with that big contract, and his 4-year, $38 million signing bonus. So he's going to get that ball for sure. O-line's top tier O-line. I really have Jake Ferguson playing really well too. So I don't know. I feel like every single year Dak Prescott performs, and I feel like that he's just going to do what he does for the past 3-4 years,
Okay. All right. Hey, fair. Why don't we go ahead and go to MFB on his QB to fade?
Yep. So this year I got my faded QB is CJ Stroud. I know there's a lot of hype. I know he has an even more upgraded offense, but maybe Kimo, can you pull up the rankings right now for QBs as their ADP?
Yeah,
because I believe he's going top 5 or 6. Right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, he's currently ranked as QB6 according to Fantasy Pros, but he's actually being drafted ahead of Anthony Richardson at QB5. So
the thing is, I like QBs that have a lot of rushing upside, right? And Stroud over the past 2 seasons, he's not a rushing QB naturally, right? And every quarterback that finished top 5, for example, last year in points per game had at least 240 rush yards, right? So if we look at last season, Stroud ran for 167 yards. So unless he throws for over 4,500 yards, right? Which we've seen before by some QBs, I don't see him finishing top 5 in points per game. That's kind of my thing, right? Now, can he prove me wrong? Yes, the potential's there. Do I see it happening with a high probability? No, I don't.
Okay. BBTV looked like you had a thought about that. What do you think?
I'm not a fan of that pick. I really do believe CJ Stroud will be that guy. I think he has just so many weapons on the Houston Texans. And so there's going to be a lot of, I feel like that offense is going to at least get 3 touchdowns a game, like minimum. Obviously, could be running to Joe Mixon, but I really think CJ Stroud is throwing at least 300. That's the bottom. And then the ceiling's like up to 400. Throwing at least 2 touchdowns a game, maybe 3, maybe even 4 against some of the defenses that he's playing against. Because the schedule, it's a solid schedule, but since that offense is so high powered and so versatile, I think CJ Stroud could honestly finish as a top 3 quarterback. So
I mean, I kind of agree with BBTV in that there's so much potential with CJ Stroud just into it's not his second year, right? He was just a rookie last year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're talking about second year. He's going to level up. They brought in Stephon Diggs. They brought in Joe Mixon, who's also a pass catching back. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity for fantasy points for CJ Stroud. And so, I mean, let me ask this. Let me put this kind of wrench in it. CJ Stroud or Kyler Murray, BBTB, if you were to draft between
CJ Stroud, no doubt.
Okay. MFB, you take Kyler Murray, you take CJ Stroud.
For this year, yeah, I'll probably take Kyler Murray.
So you're in the same.
And again, this is all relative to the values where they're being picked at, right? Or
Right.
ADP, in other words.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no.
So I think Kyler, right, at his ADP, has the top 5 upside, right?
Sure.
And has a higher probability of hitting it compared to CJ Stroud.
You're not
Okay. Fair.
You're not wrong.
Yeah. I mean, I think, yeah, I don't think you can go wrong with Stroud. I think he can get to the top 5 position. So I don't know if I like that fade per se, but I can understand where you're coming from. And I think that the rushing upside is huge for sure. So like if it's between CJ Stroud and Kyler Murray, I'm a Cardinals fan. So that one might be tough for me, but I might, man, if they're both on the board, I think if they're both on the board, man, I think I just take Kyler Murray. I'm just going to go with it.
Yeah.
I know. I really, that's a tough one. But, anyways, let's move on. BBTB, your QB to fade. Who do you got?
My QB to fade is going to be Trevor Lawrence. He has honestly no one to throw to. Christian Kirk is hurt. He only has Evan Ingram. Calvin Ridley's gone. I think Zay Jones is gone too.
Zay Jones is gone. He's at the
Cardinals now.
Yeah, he's there.
Yeah, he has really no one to throw to. Your best bet, if you do have T-Law, is him dropping it off to Travis Etienne. The dude runs 60-plus yards to get you a touchdown, and there's Trevor Lawrence's points. The offense isn't really that sick. The O-line, I don't know. They started off really well in the beginning of the season, and then towards the second half, they just got mauled. They were up by like 4 games to win like their division, and they literally lost it. And so I don't see them. I don't see them doing anything much crazy. I would stay away from T-Law. There's honestly 15 quarterbacks that you could probably take over Trevor Lawrence. So
I mean, yeah, he is being drafted as a QB 16. I mean, Goff is going before him. You for sure take Goff over Trevor Lawrence. MFB, you look like you're interested.
I'd for sure take Goff, but going back to just fading Lawrence, right? At that ADP, I'm not mad at taking Lawrence.
QB 16, he's currently going at the end of the 10th round. So almost
I think that's completely fine. Like if you're fading QB or you need a second QB, because I saw an interesting analysis where like his receivers had the most drop or something along those lines pretty much a bunch of bad luck, right? Because
Right.
T-Law had the 4th most pass attempts per game and the 6th most deep pass attempts, right? So I understand they lost Ridley, but they have Gabe Davis, right? He's not bad, right? He just doesn't shine at Buffalo. And he's a deep threat, right? They got this rookie, Brian Thomas, who I know we're going over fades and not sleepers, but just to drop a quick sleeper for all the listeners, Brian Thomas.
Hot take.
LSU.
So I think if there was a year to bounce back at that ADP, it's this year for T-Law.
Yeah, but honestly, like I will take, like looking at Fantasy Pros, I'm honestly taking the quarterbacks from.
So you tell me take Kirk Cousins. You take Kirk Cousins
I'm
over
taking
Trevor.
Hurts. I'm taking Justin Herbert. I'm taking Matthew Stafford. I'm taking Rodgers. I'm taking Watson, Geno, Baker, Will Levis, and that's pretty much it.
Okay. I mean,
I have a lot of dudes over Trevor Lawrence.
MFB has some interesting stats. I mean, they did add Gabe Davis, who's just kind of like the, throw it and he's out there somewhere. He either gets you 20 points or 2 points. So, I mean, I don't know if he helps so much. But I
mean, I just don't want that inconsistency of a quarterback.
I get it. Yeah,
I had him last year. It was great. I tried to sell him.
So this is emotional. This is emotional fade. This is all last year.
But it's just
he did terrible for me last year. I can't have him this year. He sucks. I'll take all these other quarterbacks over him. Yeah.
But like, do you want an inconsistent quarterback?
Now we know. Where the answer's coming from.
Oh, that's funny.
I personally, I mean, I get the fade. They have a very good strength of schedule. I mean, or the schedule is showing 5 out of 5 for QB. So, I mean, he has, one of the softer schedules for QB. So, I mean, I think he can get it done. I think I would take Kirk Cousins over Trevor Lawrence. I would not take Justin Herbert. I'm sorry. Justin Herbert's a great quarterback, but that team is I just don't think anything's going on there, really. I mean, I know they got that rookie, but McConkey, what's his name? Ladd McConkey? Yeah. Him, and then they have the guy that, I mean, they don't have a lot of players there. They got rid of Keenan Allen, Mike Williams is gone. I take
okay, but would you take Matthew Stafford or Trevor Lawrence?
That's I think I'd take Trevor Lawrence. He's more durable. Matthew Stafford's, I don't like his shoulder injuries.
But you got Cooper Kupp, you got Puka Nacua, you got DeMarcus Robinson.
This is the year for Matthew Stafford to bounce back for sure.
Bouncing back.
That's a toss-up. It would depend on the draft. This toss-up for me. But let's move on to the running back position. I'll go ahead and start us off with my running back fade. I feel very strongly about this. I also had this player last year, so there's some emotion involved. Ramondre Stevenson is my RB to fade. There's too many things going on there. Bill Belichick's gone. Jacoby Brissett is the QB, and I mean, at least he's been named the starter. I don't know when the rookie's going to take over, that they drafted. But you don't have a very dependable offense. You don't have a dependable QB. There's just going to be a lot less groundwork in the situation where there's not a lot of throwing going on, or the throwing is not good. The ground game is not there. The offensive line is ranked 31st overall according to Pro Football Network, and it's just not a good situation. I mean, he's being taken overall as the running back 20, but being drafted after him is Aaron Jones at 21. You have Najee Harris at 22, Raheem Mostert 23, and DeAndre Swift at 24. I mean, even Zamir White at RB 25. I take DeAndre Swift or Zamir White over Ramondre Stevenson. That's just in my opinion. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts. You guys both look.
I mean, I 100% agree with this. I faded Ramondre last year, thankfully. Yeah, and he was like a second round pick last year. Yeah. So, I mean, over the past 2 seasons, like 45% of his points Kim as a receiver, right?
Right.
Now, that's great, right? It's not so great when they go out and sign Antonio Gibson, who catches passes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, on top
Yeah.
of that, their offensive line is like ranked bottom like 4 this season.
Mhm.
So it's not adding up to be a great season for Ramondre.
Yeah, it's-
honestly, I agree with all you guys. I fade Ramondre. If you somehow get him, pick 10, sure, put him on the team, see what it can do. If you do have him on your team and he starts to go crazy, because he'll probably get at least 20 carries a game, sure, and he's probably going to be high. Sell him at one point. I think he might get injured because of the volume that he'll be getting. So if you see him going crazy, some games if he gets like a couple like between 17 to 23 fantasy points, sell him high, get rid of him.
Yeah, I mean, not a good offense, not a good system. I don't think he's going to perform. That was an easy one. MFB, give us your RB to fade.
So this might seem like a crazy one. I ain't gonna lie, but let the boy land. All right.
All right.
Slightly fading Kyren Williams this year.
Okay.
Now let me tell you why. Everybody took history back in school, and we know history repeats itself. So if we rewind back to last season, week 1, what happens? Who was starting for the Rams week 1?
Cam Akers?
Was it
Cam Akers, right?
Yeah.
It took 1 week for Kyren Williams to just go off and take the job for the whole season. See you later, Cam Akers. Right?
Sure.
So, like, the way like Sean McVay can be unpredictable with his RB usage, it has value for whoever has the starting job, right? That's basically like the notion here that I have with fading Kyren Williams, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not saying Kyren's at high risk of losing the job right now to the rookie they just drafted, but at any moment, if Kyren misses 1 week and Blake Corum goes off, I'm pretty sure it's going to be Blake Corum the rest of the way, with the way we've seen McVay's usage. I don't know. What's your guys' thoughts on this?
I mean, I think he's being drafted he's ranked as RB8 right behind Derrick Henry. He's being drafted actually ahead of Derrick Henry on average, his ADP. He's ranked above, I mean, you have like Travis Etienne, you have, I guess he's being drafted in front of Derrick Henry, you have Pacheco. I don't know if I fade him like that. I think Kyren Williams, I think he proved what he could do last year. And I thought Cam Akers and Sean McVay were just butting heads or something, right? That's what I thought it was. And that they didn't like him, but they didn't have a choice. So they just had to play Akers. I mean, Kyren Williams got injured last year. He was out for what, 4 weeks? Or was it 5 weeks? They put him on IR, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I mean, do you guys remember the backup that played those weeks?
Yeah. It was. They had Darrell Henderson for a little bit.
That's right. They signed him, right?
Yeah. They re-signed him.
As soon as Kyren Williams came back, they threw that guy they cut him, literally cut him. I think before Kyren even played. I think they cut him a few days before.
Yeah.
I swear.
Sure.
I swear. They cut him like a few days.
If you look,
they were like, bro, sayonara. He was doing solid.
So if I were to compare, like if you really look at like this rookie they drafted, it's like a Kyren 2.0, like a copy. Like the homies hit Control C, Control V.
You're talking about Blake Corum?
Blake Corum.
Yeah. If you look at his profile and like his prospect score, it's like Kyren Williams, bro.
I see what you're saying, but like I slightly disagree with you because I feel like as a running back, like for Blake Corum himself, he's a little undersized. He's not like crazy. Like I don't know. I don't see him taking over Kyren's spot. He might come in for a couple plays here and there, but if Kyren stays healthy, I think with that offense, because I'm high on the Rams offense, all the Rams receivers, quarterbacks, and running backs, I'm high on all of them. So I feel like if Kyren stays healthy, he can finish as a top 5 RB. Just because of his usage, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Are you high on those guys because you go watch those games in person, or is it? Why are you?
I mean, I watch those games in person all the time. Like I know people that know people, you know what I'm saying? So like,
that's what it is. Okay.
Honestly, I really like having a player on my fantasy team and going to go watch them. It makes the game even more fun.
So again, guys, emotion. Don't listen to this guy. No, but I think no, you make good points. I like Kyron Williams where he's being drafted. I don't know if I'd fade him. I don't know if I would take ETN over him, or I don't think I would take Pacheco over Kyron. I would probably consider taking Derrick Henry over Kyron Williams. We can discuss that in another episode, but
Sure.
yeah, I don't know if I fade him entirely, but I see your point, MFB, but I'm not too worried about Kyron Williams. BBTB, who's your RB to fade this year?
My RB to fade this year is going to be Jahmyr Gibbs. To now explain it. So, Jahmyr Gibbs right now is dealing with a sprained knee, and he's dealing with hamstring injury that's been lingering around since
Lingling?
since June. Okay, so since June, and his hamstring injury has been popped up again, and so the coach says that he should be ready by week 1, but you know what I mean. They're not trying to scare people. He should be ready by week 1, but you're dealing with a knee and a hamstring, and obviously those linger around the entire season. And also with that, you have David Montgomery. He poaches a lot of the goal line touches, punching that ball in, just because he's slightly more like he can take more of a hit than Jahmyr Gibbs. So that's why they use him in the goal line. I wouldn't say he's a bigger back, because they're pretty much the same size, but he's willing to take that hit and drive that through. Yeah, and well, 1 second. And him being the 4th running back, I wouldn't I have Jonathan Taylor, Barkley, and ETN over Jahmyr Gibbs. So I personally would fade Jahmyr Gibbs.
I mean, it's hard. It's not a bad pick. I'll be honest. He's currently ranked as the RB5, right around Jonathan Taylor. He's ranked ahead of Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, Kyron Williams. I mean, I get it. When you have Montgomery still there and just kind of lurking in the background, why would they take the risk and throw Jahmyr Gibbs out there? You know, this electrifying rookie they drafted last year that you know is going to do great things for them. Like, what? I don't know. I think they still are going to try and use him. Obviously, they're not going to be like, oh, no, sweetie, stay on the sideline. You're good. Like, you know, but they could do that. They just let Montgomery take over, and he can do it. He showed what he could do last year. I think Montgomery will continue to do it again this year when they need him to. So, I mean, I'm not mad at that. MFB, any thoughts?
It's not like a hard fade for me, but right. There's definitely some valid points, right? The injury is, you know, nobody likes hammy injuries.
Right.
Very tricky sometimes. As far as the coach saying he'll be ready by week 1, I trust him. Like I mentioned before in the previous episode, Dan Campbell, straight shooter.
Yeah.
He don't cap. So
yep.
He probably really ready by week 1. But like pretty much like Kimo said, DeMonty's still there. The episode where we covered the Lions team, no staff change, same offense, same thing finna happen. DeMonty will get usage. So
easily.
Yeah.
I think why Gibbs is being drafted where he is because his ceiling can be like sky high, which could win you some weeks, right? But the floor is definitely not as high as you would like. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, that was a solid take. I still think I take him. I might take him above. I might take him above Barkley, above Saquon, just because the touch push for Saquon Barkley. That's a tough one. I take it back. I'll put Saquon over Jahmyr Gibbs, but that's about it. Let's go ahead and move on. MFB, your oh wait, we already went to MFB's fade. Let me let's go to
receivers.
The receivers. Yeah, that's right. I'll go ahead and start off with my receiver to fade. George Pickens, and this is very straightforward. Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. That's all you need to know. So that's about it. There's no other reason as to why I'm fading George Pickens. I just think I don't think Justin Fields is ever going to do anything. And I think Russell Wilson is just not good. The Denver Broncos took a $38 million, they ate $38 million to get rid of Russell Wilson. That's how bad he was. He's just not good. Now, is George Pickens a good receiver? Yes. Am I saying that he's not going to do anything all year and he's just going to get you 0 fantasy points? No, he'll have good games, I'm sure. I mean, relative good games, right? But you have Zay Flowers being drafted after him he's being drafted as a wide receiver 27, middle of round 5. Actually, he's being drafted closer to the beginning of round 6. But you have Zay Flowers ranked after him. You have Rashee Rice ranked after him. You have Tank Dell, Terry McLaurin, all ranked beneath George Pickens. In my opinion, I take Terry McLaurin over George Pickens. Tank Dell's back and forth. I take Rashee Rice. I take Zay Flowers over George Pickens. But yeah, you guys' thoughts?
Yeah, I'm a hard disagree with you on that one, brother. I think George Pickens is going to be that guy this year. They have no receivers. Pat Freiermuth is a fraud. They dropped that wide receiver. What's his name? Roman Wilson or something. And their wide receiver too is who again? Calvin Austin the third, or whatever his name is, Austin something.
Yeah.
George Pickens is going to get the ball. He's going to be a stud. That O-line was great, because the O-line was great, but everyone else wasn't that good. Najee and what's the other homie name?
Jalen Warren.
Jalen Warren. What you call it? They'll probably split touches, but Jalen Warren's in pass catching back. Najee could also catch the ball, but George Pickens is going to produce. He's the guy on that offense.
BBTB, I hear you, but I ain't listening to you, bro. I am not even fading. I'm hard avoiding George Pickens. Okay. Now let me tell you why.
Yes, sir. Listen,
I got a crazy statistic for you, bro.
Let's hear it.
30% of Pickens' fantasy points, right, came in 2 games last year.
Sure.
Okay. That's already insane, right? Okay. So you might say, well, now it's a different QB, it's a different offense, it's a different staff. Sure. Okay. Yeah. Let's talk about the staff, right? Mm-hmm. Arthur Smith. Sure. With Arthur Smith, Drake London never finishes top 40 in points per game. Top 40. And now sad. Smith is with Pickens. So it don't look good, bro. It doesn't look good. I'm literally I'm hard avoiding Pickens.
Yeah.
Not even fading.
Arthur
hard
Smith
avoiding.
being there. Yeah. Even more so. Actually, thank you. You solidified it for me. I'll take Christian Kirk. I'll take, who else we got? I'll take Chris Godwin over him. I'll take Calvin Ridley over him. I'll take Deontay Johnson maybe, but I'll take Keenan Allen over him. Man, I'm not touching George Pickens.
Yeah. So
look, I mean, if he drops in the draft and you pick him up and you could use him as a flex or a trade piece, great. But I still think George Pickens will produce in a half PPR league at least
I think in a PPR you can take him, right?
For sure.
In a half PPR, I just don't think he has enough value to me. In a PPR, yes, he'll be getting catches, right? Because he's the only one there to catch. And don't get me wrong, George Pickens is a great player, but to take him that high, no. Over Zay Flowers even?
Is he that high though?
He's being ranked as the wide receiver 27. I told you above Zay Flowers, Rashee Rice, Terry McLaurin, Tank Dell, Christian Kirk, above all these guys, above Keenan Allen, Calvin Ridley, Chris Godwin.
I mean, I see it.
All right, yeah, we're going to see the draft. We're going to see exactly how you just gloss over that guy. You're not going to touch him.
Well, No. I mean, look, the guys that you're mentioning, sure, I'll take some of those guys over him too. But I feel like he is going to produce still. Because
I said he's a good wide receiver and he can produce and he can have games, but he's not worth it to me. He's going to have games where he just doesn't do anything, I think.
Sure. Huh?
I'm not touching George Pickens. Cool. MFB, give us your wide receiver fade.
My wide receiver to fade this year is Christian Watson on Green Bay. This guy has a depressing catch rate of 53%. Now, in case you don't know football, watch football, I don't know why you listen to this, but let's assume you don't. That means if I throw the ball at him, it's a coin toss whether he catches it or not. That's downright disgusting. Okay.
Mhm.
Not to mention also, like with injury and health, he missed 11 games over the past 2 seasons. That's just, if you're missing games, it's just, you got to take a bench spot. It's just a headache. We know how it is holding injured players, right? And not to mention, right, that Green Bay has a lot of talented wide receivers, right? So similar to when we talked about Chicago, where like it's going to be a rotating cast of people going off, you know, they got Dube, Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, Dontavian Wicks.
Yep.
Like some of those guys are going to be eating like in different weeks, right? So it's just not a consistent option, and it's not an option for me.
Yeah, I definitely agree with all that. Then they also have Josh Jacobs too, which they added. He's paid. They got Luke Musgrave coming in too, nice and healthy.
Yep.
Christian Watson is a hard fade for me as well. Not waste a pick on him, even a bench spot.
Yeah, I mean, I agree as well. I mean, he's being ranked right underneath Xavier Worthy in Kansas City, the rookie. I would 100% take Xavier Worthy over Christian Watson.
100%.
And also there's D-Hop going. They have Jackson Smith and Jigma ranked as wide receiver 40 and D-Hop ranked wide receiver 41 and Christian Watson wide receiver 39. I'd take a shot on Jackson Smith or even DeAndre Hopkins before I take a shot on Christian Watson. Even Rome Odunze at wide receiver 42. Yeah, any of those guys look good to me relative to him.
Hundo Dundo.
Yeah, good fade. I agree, MFB. Baby TV, why don't you go ahead and give us your wide receiver fade this year?
So, crazy take. He's going in the second round, I think. I would fade Brandon Ayuk. So far, he has not signed his contract yet.
Mm-hmm.
He's
currently going round 3 now.
Now he's going round 3. Okay, so he was round 2, round 3. So obviously, people are hearing all the news. He wants a trade. He's not getting the contract. Not getting what he wants. If he does get his contract, is he going to be really happy with all the commotion that's been going on for the past 2 months? Might play a mental game with him. At that time, taking round 2, I would have never took him. Round 3, maybe toss up. But 1 week, you could have, you have Deebo Samuel, you have Kittle, you have the cheat code Christian McCaffrey.
Right.
Is he like 1 week? Sure, he can go off, and then another week he could just single digits. So I personally would fade him. I wouldn't say hard fade, but I just would not waste my pick on him unless he just falls to me. And let's hope before the season starts, he signs either with the Niners because they have a great system for their offense the past few years. But if he gets traded, right now he's in talks with the Steelers, Patriots, and one more other team. He's with the Steelers. Washington, yep. And so if he gets traded there, he has to learn that offense, that scheme, and you already wasted. But there's 10 days left of the season. I think ball starts on next Thursday. 10 more days
at the time of recording.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm fading him, but not a hard fade.
I mean, yeah, I kind of agree. I mean, there's more. This is more a feeling. If you pull out stats, you could prove me wrong in an instant, maybe. Brandon Ayuk is a great receiver and he can do great things. I just think that in a situation where I think Kyle Shanahan, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like before he did this, where he kind of just didn't involve Ayuk. I think the beginning of last season,
he put him in the doghouse. This was 2 seasons ago.
That was 2 seasons ago, right? Yeah,
I believe 2 seasons ago.
Right. So if Ayuk requested a trade, doesn't get a trade, decides to come back to the 49ers staff and go, hey, you guys, I guess I'll sign here. You think Kyle Shanahan's going to be like, oh, thank you for coming back, our savior. We needed you. And
I think on that point, so I thought about that too. Does he get put in the doghouse again?
Right.
I want to say no, bro, because if you're the coach, right, and you just came off a Super Bowl L, you still have an amazing team, you still have a good staff. Are you just going to put your top receiver in the doghouse? You're trying to make another Super Bowl run while you can.
I think
if I were to put my coach hat on.
Right. I think if you can win games, if McCaffrey's going stupid, Debo's doing his thing, Kittle's getting touchdowns, they're like, look, I think the first half, if they don't need him the first half, they just have him running around, just cardio on the field.
Exactly.
Maybe just running routes for funsies, decoy Ayuk, go out there. But if they suddenly okay, guys, we're down like 12 at the half. We really need some help here. They're going to be like, decoy over here is not a decoy anymore. Start throwing to him, all right? And they're going to start drawing up routes for him. But I mean, honestly,
that's a fair point. I mean, back to whether like fading or not, Ayuk. I mean, this whole not signing thing is throwing a lot of drafts in a whack right now for sure. So it depends for me where he lands. At his ADP, like in current drafts, in the third round,
he's going later in the third round.
I would not fade if he stays in SF.
So
if he goes anywhere else, sorry, let me get through like all the teams. Like if he goes to Patriots or Steelers, hard fade. Like see you later. I'm not even looking at you. If he goes to Washington, it gets interesting.
I agree.
Definitely.
I wouldn't fade, but I'd consider it, bro.
I would consider it more than if he stayed in SF. I honestly would be more because he got what he wanted. He got paid by a different team. Yeah. He asked for a trade. He got the trade. He's in a new offense. I mean, he's going to have to learn some things, but he's a good receiver, man. And I think he can do great things there paired up with
amazing route runner.
Oh, easily. 100%.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't know. It's a lot of controversy going on. Why do you want that stressfulness when like during the draft? Why do you want that stress? You know what I mean? But you still have Kimo, name the other receivers that are around him.
Yeah. I want to kind of put a couple names with him. We have Cooper Kupp being drafted or ranked as a wide receiver 18, while Ayuk is a wide receiver 17. Do you take Cooper Kupp or Brandon Ayuk? If let's just say he signs with SF, like we'll just stay with that because that seems to be the highest likelihood. He signs with SF, he resigns. Ayuk or Cooper Kupp?
I'm going 100% Cooper Kupp.
I'm going Kupp as well.
2 years ago, no more injuries. Cooper Kupp.
I'd probably roll Ayuk.
Okay.
I'd probably roll Ayuk there.
Metcalf or Ayuk?
I'm going Metcalf.
I think I'd take Metcalf.
I think I'm still going Ayuk there.
Let's go reverse. Jalen Waddle or Ayuk?
Waddle. High-powered offense.
Waddle this year.
Waddle's wide receiver 16.
I'm still going Ayuk there, honestly.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you have him pretty high then.
If staying on SF, yeah.
Yeah. Did you take Ayuk or
he
Nico
ended up
Collins?
doing so well, if you remember, like the last half of last season.
No, he did, yeah. But Ayuk or Nico Collins?
Ayuk.
I think I'd go Ayuk right there.
I go Ayuk. Nico Collins is ranked above. He's actually being drafted in front of Ayuk, and then Jalen Waddle's being drafted actually after Ayuk, so he's ranked lower. Debo or Ayuk?
Debo. Big fan of Debo.
I like Debo. I'll take Debo.
Same.
Ayuk, just because of durability. Debo's like guaranteed to be hurt.
All right, just to end this segment about Ayuk, Mike Evans or Ayuk?
Ayuk.
This year, I'm going Mike Evans.
No, man.
We have a lot of
look. You've gone.
We can talk about this guy all day. Let's move on from Ayuk. We gave everyone.
What you think? One day I wake up and I'm like, not Mike Evans today.
We gave
Mike Evans not it, bro.
We gave these guys the info. They know what we think, and we kind of gave them everything they need. So let's move on to the tight end fades. I'll go ahead and start us off with my tight end fade, Mark Andrews. I just think every year he misses some time. Last year he got injured week 11 with a cracked fibula. So I don't know if you guys know what that is, but it's the bone connects your ankle up to your knee, I think, in the back, the smaller one. There's two bones.
Can you show us?
Yeah. You a doctor?
Yeah. Let me show you actually the camera. You can look it up. He had a cracked fibula, right? He did return to play in the off season. But I think overall, I just think that they kind of protect him. If they're not sure about playing him, they have Isaiah Likely. He's still there, right? Okay. They have Isaiah Likely. He does good things. He's not a bad tight end. He's not Mark Andrews by any means, right? But they're like, why would we roll the dice on Mark Andrews when they know they have a stud tight end and go with Isaiah Likely if Mark Andrews has any injuries? I just think that like he's being ranked right now currently he's actually not. I don't dislike exactly where he's being ranked. He's being taken early round 5 as the tight end 3, but you have 2 tight ends being drafted slightly later than him. You have Trey McBride in Arizona, who I like way more. I know I'm a Cardinals fan. I still like him more, just objectively speaking. And then you also have Kincaid in Buffalo. I would take Kincaid over Andrews. And I know that sounds crazy, but I mean, it's not that if I had both of them on the board, I go, oh, Kincaid would it like easily, right? I think that if I'm, I don't think I reach for Mark Andrews. I think if he falls, I consider it just because I know what he can do. But I like Kincaid more. I think I wait and take a shot with Kincaid, or I take McBride. 100% if it's between Mark Andrews and McBride and they're both on my screen and I have, it's beginning of round 4 or round 5, I take McBride. But I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
I'm not mad at the McBride over Mark Andrews. I could see that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm not gonna fade Mark Andrews. Pretty much because for the same reasons I'm not fading McBride, is he's the second passing option on the offense. Right?
Right.
Same as McBride currently. So that's a lot of value, right? It's a lot of positional value as a tight end to be the second passing option, right? Now he does tend to get injured, right? Now the good thing about when he gets injured is Likely steps in and plays the same role and does good with it, right? I think the weeks where Andrews was injured, Likely was like tight end 5. If you take the average.
Right.
So now it's a simple solution, right? It's not a guaranteed solution because you still got to get Likely on your team, right?
Right.
Wherever you are with the waiver or however much you bid or etc. Right? But you have that safety blanket with Likely to just plug and play and you're good to go, even though you drafted Andrew.
Sure. That may be the case, but I mean, they have a bye week, so there's going to be a time where you need another tight end besides those 2 guys. But I see your point. BBTB, you had some?
Yeah. On just your point of you taking Trey McBride or Don Kincaid, you're saying it's like ridiculous to say that. It's not ridiculous to say that at all. I would not waste my 5th round pick for a player that might not play in the beginning of the season, or a player that is dealing with a really bad injury. Sure, he'll come back. Will he be the same? Who knows? But I don't know. Round 5, or do you really want that risk? Do you still want that stress? If he falls, sure. I mean, I'll take him maybe round 7, but round 5,
he's not going to be available in round 7. If you're drafting,
exactly. So that's
if you're drafting and he's round 7,
Homie's in a league with kindergartners, bro.
No, but exactly.
You need to get into a different league.
No, actually, what I'm trying to say though is like basically, if I'm hard fading Mark Andrews. That's pretty much what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Why would you do that to yourself on your 5th round pick? So,
I mean, you feel very strongly, which, I mean, like I said, I fade him. I mean, he's currently questionable right now. He's actually not healthy. I don't know what the report is on him, but if you look at the depth chart right now, he's showing up as questionable. So something's already wrong and the season hasn't even started yet. And I think if you remember last year, he missed the season opener. Something happened. Season opener, Isaiah Likely stepped up. Yeah. Imagine you're trying to play week 1 and they play on the opening night. No, it's Ravens Chiefs, or am I mistaken?
Yep,
Ravens Chiefs. Yeah, next
opening night, baby.
I mean, and I wouldn't doubt that he could miss game 1, and you have your starting tight end out, and you're having to hope, pray Isaiah Likely does it on prime time Thursday night game opener. I don't. Then you lose week 1 already because of Mark Andrews, and who knows what happens? Another broken fibula. Great. Yeah. I don't like Mark Andrews. I just he's an amazing tight end, but just overall injuries and everything, all in all, I'm fading Mark Andrews. BBTB, or actually MFB, give us your tight end fade.
Yeah, my tight end fade this year, pretty simple. It's Dalton Schultz. I mean, he's a nice player, but he's only had 1 season in his whole career with over 90 targets. So now bringing it back to this current year of 2024, he's the fourth passing option on the team. It's just it's not the tight end like structure that you want for fantasy, right? And they have Joe Mixon, right? So there's going to be some games where the game script depends on Mixon to catch the ball, and he's going to be the fifth pass option, bro. That means you ain't seeing nothing. So like it's just I just don't see the upside at all. So he's pretty much a fade for me.
Yeah, 100% agree. All the information that you said, back from right behind it. Simple.
Yeah, I mean, he's going as a tight end 14. I mean, I think the tight end 13 is Freiermuth. I don't really see much of a difference between those guys. Well, I mean, I like Schultz had some good games last year, but now adding in Stephon Diggs, and being the fourth option on that team, yeah, I just don't think he's going to do good things. He showed us what he could do last year. He showed that he still got it. I just think that he's kind of being worked out of the scheme for the Texans. So yeah, I mean, I think the fade is good. Anything else on Schultz? Or you guys we're all in agreement there?
That's it.
That was an easy fade. Nice. I like that one. BBTB, give us your tight end fade.
Yes, sir. My tight end to fade this year will be Kyle Pitts. Sorry about that. Every year, this dude's been trash, praying, hoping this dude does something. Doesn't happen. Sure, big Kirko's there. Big chains, Does he do something? Don't think so. Drake London is going to be that guy. Shouts out Drake London, hometown city. Bijan Robinson will be used. Tyler Algier had a 1,000-yard season last year. I don't know, man. I'm not a fan. He's going currently tight end 7, I think, on Fantasy Pros.
Tight end 6, right? He's ranked in front of George Kittle as tight end 6, but he's being drafted after George Kittle. George Kittle's being taken earlier than him.
Yeah. I'd take Kittle over him. I'd take Evan Ingram. I would take Jake Ferguson and Njoku. Maybe, all the way to Dallas Goedert,
Would you take Juwan Johnson in front of him?
I would not take Juwan Johnson. I would not. But even as
so that's the cutoff. Juwan Johnson's the cutoff. Now we know. Okay.
Yeah, I just wouldn't. Not a fan of Kyle Pitts. Don't want that stress drafting him that early.
Definitely stress with Kyle Pitts. Just everyone, we're waiting for his breakout year. Everyone thought it would happen last year. I just think, dude, with Arthur Smith gone, I can roll the dice with Pitts, man. I think I roll the dice.
Right.
If I take him over Kittle, that's where you got to decide how many risky picks are you taking this year. If you don't have a lot of risky picks and you don't have a tight end yet, dude, I'm not mad at Kyle Pitts where he's going. Is he a hard fade for me? I take him over Ingram, I think, man. I don't know. I just think that I think that he can get, because in terms of pass catchers there in Atlanta, you're talking about Drake London. I guess you could say Bijan, right? But do they have anyone else besides that? And then just Kyle Pitts?
He's like the third. He's the third option.
We'll say he's the third option, yeah. But I think, Kirk Cousins likes his tight ends, man. Him and TJ Hawkinson, he was dumping it off to him all the time. Now he's got Bijan there to dump off to instead, right? But I still think, man, it's hard to say because we haven't seen him do it. But this is one of those players that next year could be one of those tight ends. Oh, he's going tight end 3 or tight end 4. You know what I mean? He's going in round 4, round 5, or round 3 or round 4, right? Oh, maybe not round 3. But yeah, he's going in the earlier rounds. George Kittle's always going to be drafted about in this area. I don't think he's going up much more in the next few years. But Pitts has that potential. So I don't know if I fade him as hard as you do, but I'm not mad at it.
I'm also pretty 50-50 on the fade here, right? Like I would be down to take the dice roll on Kyle Pitts, right? The problem is, right, like BBTB said and why he's fading him, is he's, the tight end 6th rank, being drafted as tight end 7, right? Which, if you look at the tight end landscape, that's probably like where he could finish the highest, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if I were to put a ceiling on Kyle Pitts' finish this year, it's tight end 5, right? So you're kind of drafting him near his ceiling, which in a draft, you don't want to do that. If you do that and you hit, great, right? But you want to draft like players like very low and have them hit a higher ceiling. That's where you get value.
Mhm.
So he's not. It's not a value pick at his ADP right now.
Yeah.
To put it in short.
And this is my probably fourth or fifth hot take. I don't have Kyle Pitts finishing top 10 in the tight end realm.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have him finishing top 10.
I mean, I can see that. I can see that happening. Him not finishing in top 10. So I mean that he's a big dice roll. If you want to take the dice roll on him, go for it. But yeah, I shoot, man. Now you guys got me rethinking it. Good luck in your drafts. Take them or don't. We can go ahead and move on to our bonus fades. I'll start it off. My bonus fade is Joe Mixon. So I don't think he's going to be able to. If you look at that offense, I think he's the fourth option after or before, I think Dalton Schultz. So Dalton Schultz may be even the fifth option, or him and Dalton Schultz are the fourth and fifth option. Excuse me. I think that the receivers are the first three, and then it's between, Joe Mixon and Dalton Schultz. I just think that, they still have Dameon Pierce. Joe Mixon hasn't been wow. I mean, what is it? 2 seasons ago, he had a 50 fantasy point game or something like that, like 5 touchdowns. That was like, the craziest we've ever seen him do. But that was like a fluke game. He never did anything close to that after that. I mean, I don't think at his current ADP that I think there's other RBs that are better. He's ranked currently right now as RB 15, and he's being drafted right in front of Kenneth Walker, Alvin Kamara, and I think that's where it drops. James Conner's RB 18. So you have Kenneth Walker, Alvin Kamara, and James Conner all being ranked and drafted after him. I think I take all 3 of those guys over Joe Mixon.
Those aren't bad guys, but this might be one of the rare times in the show where I'm hard disagreeing with Chemo here. So obviously in Stroud's rookie season, right? Deservedly so. There was a perception that the Texans run a pass heavy offense, right? Now, ironically, that wasn't the case. Houston was top 12 in running back carries last season. And I think after week 9, Singletary averaged 19 touches a game, right? Now they got Joe Mixon, right? Who I don't think anybody will argue is better than Devin Singletary.
Yeah.
Mixon he comes to Houston. He had 250 carries and 50 receptions last season, right? He led all back and goal line rushes. He put up 8 games with 15 plus fantasy points and 5 games with 20 plus, right? Will he be efficient again? Maybe not, right? Maybe not. But he'll get volume on one of the best offenses right now in the NFL, right? It's not a pick that's going to make or break your team. He's kind of like the boring volume pick RB, but it's a very good pick to have in the 5th round.
Mm-hmm.
I wanna throw a caveat in there. He played well in the second half of the season. Joe Burrow was out after week 11. He didn't play anymore, so there was more volume that could have gone his way. In that they didn't really have a good backup quarterback, right? They had Andy Dalton or someone.
Chase Browning, I think,
last season as their QB.
No, it wasn't Dalton. It was
Was it not Chase Browning or somebody like that?
Oh, it might have been Chase Browning.
Yeah.
So Chase Browning was the backup quarterback. I mean, they're not gonna get as many throws.
Jake Browning. Sorry,
Jake Browning. There you go. So
shout out to Folsom High.
I'm gonna protect myself, protect my the hard disagreement with me. I'm gonna say that Joe Mixon had a lot more volume because they didn't have a good QB throwing the ball. Now you have CJ Stroud with an added wide receiver. I don't think they run the ball as much. I think they'd run it less. I think that if anything happens to Joe Mixon, Dameon Pierce is there and they're not going to rush him back. There's no need, right?
Mm-hmm.
Unless Dameon Pierce completely just sucks, and in which case, yes, they will rush Joe Mixon back on the field. But anything happens to Joe Mixon, I think he's out of the picture. No rush to get him back. They added another wide receiver. I think his stats might have been a little bit inflated last year just because of what happened to Joe Burrow on that team. That's just my take.
Yeah,
But
I'm gonna
BCB?
still roll with MFB. I 100% disagree with you, brother. Joe Mixon is going to get that work. Joe Mixon is on a top 3 offense in the NFL. That man is going to get carries, at least 15 carries a game. Goal line work. Joe Mixon is that guy. If they're within the 5, they're gonna give it to him at least twice. If obviously he can't punch it in, third down, I'll throw it, sure. But Joe Mixon, great pass catching back. Huge upgrade from Devin Singletary. I don't know. I think where he's going at right now is a great round 5 pick. Sure, might take Kenneth Walker over him.
he's in round 4.
Round 4. Okay. I mean, still, he could drop down a little bit to round 5, but
He's AEP is middle of round 4.
yeah, I would still take Mixon there. If Kenneth Walker's on the board, I would take Kenneth Walker.
Kenneth Walker's being drafted after him. So is Kamara.
Yeah.
I can see where you can say you take him above James Conner. All right.
Yes.
But do you take Kamara or Joe Mixon?
I would take Kamara just for the pass catching because Derek Carr likes that dump off. That's the
Right.
only reason why.
So
I'm taking Mixon over Kamara. Just a better offense.
the good offense is huge. That's key. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
But I wouldn't fade Joe Mixon. That's pretty much
Good
it.
offense and also a good defense, bro. So they could be up a lot
Saints
of games.
defense is huge right now.
Oh, we're talking about the Texans.
I'm talking about Texans defense.
Oh,
Texans.
Yeah,
Texans,
them
brother.
too.
We're talking about Joe Mixon still. Okay. All right. That was a terrible take. I'm never doing a bonus fade ever again.
You could be right, bro.
MLB. Yeah, we'll see. The season we'll see. That's what the podcast is for, is we discuss these things. People might be thinking the same thing as me. People might be thinking the same thing as you. They hear my take. They hear your guys' takes, and they make the best decision with the information that we give them in the podcast. That's what the podcast is for. It's not to tell you what to do, because that's why there's 3 of us. If it was one guy, you have all these guys on TikTok posting videos. Oh, these are my top 10 RBs right here in this order. All right, bro. Like, no one's disagreeing with you. You're not talking in the comments, but this is why we have 3 of us here. You can hear us all talk and give our reasons.
Yeah.
But clearly I am a terrible analyst.
Horrible. Horrible.
But MFB, give us your fade, your bonus fade.
My bonus fade is another running back, Zamir White on the Raiders.
Okay.
And I feel like when I talk to people are split. People are either really high on him or they're fading him. Me, I'm on the fade side, right? Especially with like more recent news in the preseason weeks that Alexander Mattison has been taking snaps with the starting unit, and he's played over White on some passing downs, right? So if you're in half PPR, full PPR, you want the pass catching backs. So basically, like, what this kind of, makes the path for is White could potentially just be the early down committee back on a below average offense, right? Which isn't the type of profile that you want as a fantasy running back, right? This guy, like, sure, at the start of the season, he could start in your lineup and you'll be okay. But like, it's one of those guys, and we see it every year. They start on your bench. They're a starter. And then week goes by. It's about week 9, 10, and they're just on your bench because they're just not being used anymore. They're just ineffective, and they start the guy behind.
Yeah. I'll slightly disagree with MFB just because he's going as the running back.
He's running back 25.
Yeah, running back 25.
He's actually, his ADP is a little bit earlier than that. He's being drafted in the end of round 6 or middle to end of round 6.
Yeah, I would take Zamir White. I do think the Raiders offense could be something with Gardner Minshew there. I don't know. I don't see Madison. Madison was horrible last year. They thought he was going to be the guy in Minnesota. Not even close as the guy. I don't know. I would take Zamir White. If you need a running back, you have a starting RB. Go get Madison as your 15th round handcuff. You know what I mean? But I would take Zamir White still.
I kind of lean on BBTB's side on this one. I'm not going to lie to you, MFB. I'm not a hard disagree because you're giving correct stats, but I don't think. I mean, the Raiders last year had Josh Jacobs, and he did all the running. They didn't share. They didn't put a committee. I mean, he did. He's better than Zamir White for sure. But it's the same head coach. I don't think he involves or he does a lot of committee stuff. I think in the preseason they kind of involve these guys to see what they can do. Like, oh, okay, this other backup running back has some pass catching ability. Good to know. Like, oh, okay, maybe we can do some trick plays, or we can, throw him in the middle of the game and then do a play with him. That's kind of more where I feel like those backups that do pass catching is. But I mean, for example, let's look at where Zamir White is ranked as RB25. Do you take him or Javonte, who's being ranked RB26?
Zamir.
MLB's a Broncos fan.
MLB's Javonte.
All right. Zamir White or Tony Pollard?
Pollard. That's easy.
Zamir. That's an actual committee right there.
I think I take, that is a committee with
committee right
I think it's Tony Pollard and what's his name? Tajay Spears.
I mean, you're asking me. I made Pollard one of my sleepers. So
yeah,
Brian Robinson then or Zamir?
Zamir, no doubt.
They named Brian Robinson the starter over Eckler, so Brian Robinson.
Okay, all right. I then okay. The last one: Singletary or Zamir White?
Man,
I would go Singletary.
Both terrible offenses.
Yeah. I'd lean towards Singletary just because of the volume that he'll probably get.
I'm taking a kicker, bro. Give me the kicker.
Skipping on both of these guys.
Give me the kicker, bro.
Neither of these guys are worth it, right? Okay. All right. So yeah, I mean, I just the Raiders offense with Minshew there though. I really think the offense could. But you have Devontae Adams, man. Jacoby Myers is doing solid. I take Zamir White over a couple of these guys. It's a toss-up between Javonte.
You got Brock Bowers there too, man.
That's right.
It's. I think the offense is gonna be solid, man. Not gonna lie.
I think the Raiders are gonna do Raider things, but I don't know. I like Zamir White, kind of where he's being drafted. Am I gonna take him ahead of his rank? Am I gonna take him in round 6? If he falls to me round 7, I take him.
Mm-hmm.
If DeAndre Swift gets sniped in my face, I'm taking Zamir White because he's being ranked right above him. So,
sniping Swift in front of you.
Yeah, BBTV, why don't you go ahead and close us out with your bonus player to fade?
So my bonus player, even though I'm a Saints fan, been a Saints fan for a very, very long time, it will be Chris Olave, and I'll explain this. Chris Olave, I feel like he's kind of in the same position as Justin Jefferson. Chris Olave, phenomenal talent, great receiver, great route runner. But Derek Carr is that bad that I will be fading Chris Olave. That man will not be on my team. No point of the season if Derek Carr is the quarterback. I think he's taken in the middle second round so far, and I wouldn't.
He's going early. All these ranks are obviously we're doing half PPR ranks and we're doing for 12-man leagues. So for all those that are listening, if we didn't mention it before in other podcasts, he's being taken actually at the beginning of round 3. So right at the end of round 2 being round 3.
So yeah, I mean, if he's my third pick towards like the end of the third round, sure. But I don't know. I'm not like Chris Olave. He is a great player, but I'm so fed up with Derek Carr. I'm fading him personally.
Chris Olave or Debo?
I'm going Debo.
Okay. Chris Olave or Mike Evans?
That's a 50-50 for me. And the Bucs are rivals to the Saints because they're in the same division. I would just take Chris Olave just because I'm a Saints fan. So it's more emotional kind of pick.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of with you. So, man, this is an interesting time in the draft where I feel like there's a gap between the wide receivers. So there's it goes Marvin Harrison, Drake London, Devontae Adams are neck and neck. After that, it's Chris Olave, Mike Evans, Deebo Samuel, Nico Collins, Jalen Waddle, and Brandon Ayuk. I just think that the difference between Devontae Adams and like the potential of Drake London versus like Chris Olave with Derek Carr throwing the ball, it's hard for me to pick receivers after that. So I'm not mad at the fade. For where he's being drafted, he probably goes ahead of a lot of these guys. Maybe not Debo. I don't know. MFV, what do you think? I'm kind of torn.
This ain't nothing new. Hard disagreeing with BBTB here. All the numbers just line up so nicely for Olave for me, right? So if we go back to his rookie season, he finished as wide receiver 26. Last season, he finished at wide receiver 19, right? Now, if we continue that trajectory, he should finish around wide receiver 12, which is, I think that's where he's being drafted at, right?
He is ranked
So
wide receiver 12.
it's literally that sweet spot, right? Just coincidentally. And just all the numbers, I just really, really like, right? Now, I understand when I watched Saints games last year, it's frustrating watching Carr throw to this man, right? But bro, he has a target share of 25% in both seasons, right? I think he averaged 16 points per game in 19 games where he had over 7 targets. He was top 5 in deep targets, top 10 in slot targets. So the underlying usage is there. The efficiency is there. Now, why I'm really, really sold on him this year and would love to have him, he has the Clint Kubiak offense where he's going to bring a lot of that San Francisco 49er pre-snap motion. And I said on the previous episode before that I'm very, very keen on watching to see how this offense runs now.
Look, but I'm be honest with you, man. I hope you're right. I really hope you're right. I'm a Saints fan. I want the Saints to make that run. I hope you're right. I hope I'm wrong.
I mean, honestly, with the info that MFB just gave, I like Chris Olave a little bit more now, but I will also say that they did get rid of Mike Thomas, who, I mean, didn't do much, but he took targets from him. So Mike Thomas is gone. It's just Olave and Rashid Shaheed, who could be potentially a sleeper.
Juwan Johnson.
And Juwan Johnson.
And Juwan Johnson. Can't forget about him, man. It's that guy is just a target machine, 30% of targets going to Juwan Johnson. Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know if I necessarily fade him as hard as you say. I might take Debo over him. Mike Evans, I don't think I take Mike Evans over Chris Olave. I don't think I take Nico Collins over Chris Olave. I don't think I take Jalen Waddle over Chris Olave, Ayuk over Olave. I think I take Olave over all those guys. The only one that's up in the air, toss up, is Debo.
The thing is, though, with that third round pick, wherever he's going, he's your third pick. Depending on where you are, if you have Josh Allen in your face, if you got Hurts in your face, even Mahomes, I might.
So that's where it's like taking the safe pick.
You know what I mean?
I mean that's where you take the safe pick, and that's up to you. Where you take the shot on the receiver, and it could pay off, a lot more than taking one of these QBs,
sure.
Or you play it safe. And so, to me, is it necessarily a fade? Not necessarily a fade. I'm gonna have to rag on you, bro, because you took a crap on me about 10 minutes ago. So yeah, this is a terrible take. Do not fade Chris Olave. Terrible idea.
I swear you agreed with me a couple minutes ago, man.
No, I see what you mean, but no, MFB honestly kind of put some thoughts in my head, and I think, I mean, to be honest, just objectively speaking, I think I take maybe Debo over him. Other than that, I mean, I think I take him over all those other guys that are going around him, or after him, I should say. So he's not being faded that hard per se.
I hope you guys are right. I really do.
Yeah, if I take him, I hope so too. That about does it for the episode. Anyone have any extra information on any of these guys? Anything that we missed? Anything you guys wanted to say? You guys want to take another deuce on my head before we end it? No? Maybe?
No, sir. All right, cool. Next episode.
All right, awesome. Yeah, can't wait. That was episode 8, Players to Fade. Next episode 9, AFC North. We're going to try and crank these episodes out before you guys do your drafts. I know we're coming up close on the final weekend before the season starts, but we're going to try and crank out these last 4 episodes of the AFC. Tune in next time to hear about AFC North episode 9. We'll see you guys next time.
Yes, sir.